Oh, what do we got here? I hope this is what I think it is. Let's go over here on the workbench. I got to show you this. Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's in My Workbench, I've got a package here. Now, I know I've opened packages before. I've been looking forward to this package for, I think it's been about 7 months. Last year, about now, maybe a little bit later, I made a knife sheath for a gentleman. And you may have seen it. It had an elk antler handle on it. I made a sheath for it. And I had made the comment during the video of, you know, when you're developing a pattern, does that expense go with that person? Or do you just take that as part of it? And if it's going to be a pattern, I think that you're going to use over and over again, then maybe you just kind of swallow that as part of the process. But if it's a pattern for something that you'll never make again, then I think you probably need to be charging some of that. Well, I had a gentleman reach out to me from New Mexico and said, I have a knife, I need a sheath, and I like that sheath there, make another one. And he goes, there's a way for you to recoup some of your time. So I made a sheath for him, and he reached out to me a couple of months later, and that's where this package comes in. So let's get over here on the workbench, and I'll open it up here and show you what I've got. So the gentleman reached out to me, told me he had a belt buckle that he had purchased, and when he got it shipped to him, he wanted to know about me making a belt for him. So let's open this up here. See what we've got. I've only seen pictures of it. I'm really excited. He had been wearing it on just a regular belt that he had in his collection, but wanted to get something custom made that would do justice to the buckle. So don't judge that. So there it is. I think that's just absolutely gorgeous. Talk about workmanship. If I could do that, I know I'm not going to jump into another hobby here, but this is really cool, and the picture doesn't do it justice. Turquoise and coral. A. Lee is the name. I can see where they did the repair. One of these sides, I think it was this side here, was broken off. And I suggested that they may have to remove the stones to do that repair, but you know, I'm not a silversmith. Okay, that is totally cool. So I need to design a belt, and I think he wants black instead of brown, and I do think it's going to look better with black. All right, well, let me put my thinking cap on, and we'll come up with a plan. I'm just in awe. I think that is just absolutely a beautiful belt. I like these feathers on there. I may try tooling some feathers as a test and see if I can do that good enough to do justice. All right, let me put on my thinking cap and then we'll come back. All right, so, well, I think the next step to get started, we're not using brown, we're going to use black. And there's some features in here that I think if I incorporated those into the belt, that it might, make it tie in together. The client has told me repeatedly, though, he does not want to have the belt compete with it. So, I've thought about using some fake turquoise or coral spots in here to, try to tie it together, but then you start drawing attention to the belt instead of the buckle. We've talked about a bunch of different things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some straps. This is the Vaqueta Leather from Montana Leather. It's a pre-dyed black. And I'm going to use this and I'll line it with a lighter weight leather as well. And the one thing that I learned early on, when you have a buckle like this, you have to be careful about the thickness, because not only do you have the fold over part here, but then you will feed it through here as well. So this is fairly thin leather here. I can't remember if I told you, but let's take a look at it again and see. That's 7.5 ounces. Normally I would have, a belt would be somewhere around 12 ounces. Well, 2 layers of this between there, and you start to see it gets tight, and you could get 2 more layers through there, but it would be really snug. So I'm going to go with just a 10-ounce belt on this one, and he's a fairly thin guy, so my guess is the belt's not working as hard as it would be on me. So let's set this aside and let's cut some straps of this, and we'll play a little bit with some of the different options of tooling. And so let's go over on the other bench and we'll do that work right now. All right, so here's our samples, and I worked quite a while trying to come up with, I didn't want to exactly copy this feather, but come up with something that I thought would look interesting on here. And I could also, I could add some of my turquoise glaze in here to highlight it. And I thought about that, but once again, sticking with what the customer wanted. The customer said a couple times, doesn't want the belt to compete with the buckle. So I showed all of these to him, and he liked the feather, but felt once again that even if it's just black on black, that it would compete with the buckle. And the other thing is he talked about leaving space between features, kind of like this, so he could put a concho later if he found a concho that went with that. We talked a little bit about that as well. I used this diamond on the edge to try to make it look a little bit like the rope finish. And when he first started looking at it, he really kind of liked this feature here. And these tool marks really highlight the border on here. So we went round and round, and we weren't sure. I showed him some conchos, and then I happened to show him a belt that I was working on that wasn't in black, it was in brown, and he was like in awe of how that looked. And I'll put a couple pictures in here of what that looks like, because I would show it to you, but that belt has since been picked up. But you know what? Let me go grab another belt, and you're going to know the belt as soon as I get it over here. Yep, the Diamondback. So I showed him this in a brown, and I ended up showing him in a blue. And he is a follower of my channel as well, and he remembered that, and he said, "You know what? Let's stop on all this other tooling ideas. Make the black Diamondback. So instead of the blue or the brown Diamondback, make it in black and do your hand stitching, and we're done." So a bunch of this maybe was for nothing, but you never know. I'll have these samples that I can hang up on my wall, and I have shown them before to people, other samples, and it helps in the decision-making process. So here's the belt, and he sent this to me so that I could go ahead and make it the right size. And he said this is the hole he uses, but it's about a 1/4 inch too tight. So I'm going to be making this belt in 33 1/4. Let me set this belt out of the way here, and I'll just examine my strap of leather to make sure there's no flaws. I got a little bit of room to work with here. I think this is pretty good. So I'm going to cut from this end. So 33 1/4 plus 10, it gives me room to mount the buckle and have the tip. So 33 1/4, so 43 1/4 is what I'm looking for. And I usually add a 1/4 inch to my size to make up for leather distance lost on the fold over. So I'm going to go 43 1/2. Just put a mark here. All right, 33 1/4, 43 1/4 plus 1/4. We're there. And I had someone suggest that I get a silver pin to mark on black so that it's easier for the viewers to see. And I have that on order, but it's not here yet. So bear with me, and I will be there. Let's find the center. All right, so I've set up here. I work on cardboard. I don't have to worry about getting contact adhesive on my countertop and transferring it to something else. So I'm put my contact adhesive on here. And I'm going to be real abbreviated on this part of it here. Try to keep the video a little bit shorter. But I'm using the Weldwood contact adhesive, 2 coats. I let it set up between coats. And once the second coat is tacked up, then I'll laminate that together. I'm talking fast probably. I don't want to waste your valuable time. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this contact adhesive, and I'll come back when we're ready to get this laminated together. And we'll make some good progress today on this project. So we are ready now to laminate these together. And I do my fold over or bend over at 3.5 inches, so I go ahead and put that in here while I'm working on it. And I prefer to burnish these layers together, but if I run a hammer down the center, it really kind of stitches it in place so it doesn't want to move when you're burnishing these layers together. Okay. I think we're looking really pretty good. My edges are lined up nicely. My fold over here. We need a layout for the diamond pattern now. So now we're ready to lay out my pattern. And first thing I do is I create my fold over here on the buckle end, where that's going to be. And now I'm going to find center, and he's a 33.25. I'll just go 33, so half of 33 is 16.5. So I'll put a light pencil mark here at 16.5. And then the next thing I need to do is to see where the adjustment holes will be on the belt. So 33.25 is here, and I don't need to do a bunch of marks. I just know there'll be two the other direction, so 31.25. And the reason why I want to find where that's at is I want a space before my diamond pattern starts. And I think I'm going to go with, 2 inches, so 29 inches. So now if I measure from that center mark to the 29, it's 12.5. So I just need to mark 12.5 going the other direction. And I'm going to have 25 inches worth of diamond pattern. And then I set my calipers to the center point on the belt. And I'm going to go from one spot here to the other. And a light crease is all it takes, just something for me to set my diamonds on. And I do it from both sides. If there's any variation in the width of the belt, this will show me and allow me to make sure I keep my diamonds centered. And it looks like we're good, not any variation. And I'm going to go ahead and case this lightly, and I'll come back here in about 5 minutes when the casing has set in there. All right, so now we're ready to set our diamonds in here. And you've seen me do this before, so I'm going to get started here, show you what I'm doing in case you haven't seen me do this before. And then I'll come back. And I just keep my diamond centered here on that center line. Now, as I work my way down through here with the diamond stamp, it's a Berry King diamond stamp. It's a 1/2 inch long by 1/4 inch wide, if someone's wondering. And I don't know the part number on it. I wish Berry King would put their part number on all of their tools. So anyway, I'm going to finish going from one end to the other as I set this pattern. and I'll come back when I have this finished. I will say, I'm using my 24 ounce maul on here. Unlike other tooling where you're working your way around like a floral pattern, this is like a one and done strike. At least that's what works best for me. And my lighter 16 ounce maul doesn't really set it as nicely as I'd like. So I'll finish up this center and then I'll be right back. I work from one end to the other to lay out that center line so that I don't end up veering off one way or the other. Once I've done that, then I'll come back from this direction and I will fill in my diamond pattern here. And you can go one row at a time. What I'll do is I'll come out here 4 or 5 stamps, and then I will come back here and I will put on my last outside row down through here. So I make 5 passes through here. The pattern doesn't look 5 row wide because of the offset nature of the diamonds. Once I get the belt finished on this side, then I will turn the belt around, swap it end for end, and do the same thing this direction. And the reason why I do that is so that I can easily see that my diamond is set right. If I was working off this near side, I'd be looking around the tool to try to see how it's set. I think that makes sense. I kind of, in some ways, wished for him to pick one of the other tooling patterns that I created, just so we'd have a different kind of video. But I think there's value in seeing how I created those other patterns and the thought process behind that. And like I said, I'm not disappointed in it, I suppose, because I've got those samples that I can show other people if they're looking. So there's what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and finish both sides of this belt to the other end, and then we'll come back when we're ready for the next step here. I'm trying to keep from having this be too boring, too long. There's our pattern. Let me get this belt cut to length. All right, so now we've got it cut to length. I'm going to go ahead and create these mounting holes here. Now this belt, I think I mentioned it, there's not going to be a keeper, not with this buckle. It's not needed. It's wide enough that when the wearer puts it on and feeds the belt through, that shortly after the buckle, you go through the first loop on your jeans. So there's no need for another loop there. And it's not a matter of, saving time or whatever, not doing it. I think will crowd up the belt and make it to where it may take some of the focus off of the buckle. So the client and I discussed it and decided no keeper. The main reason why I put the hole in at this point is I'm going to start shortly. I'll be putting some of the clear finishes on there, and I want to be able to hang it up to dry. Now that we have the belt to length, the next thing I need to do is to set in my stitching line and create the holes for my stitching with my stitching chisels. And I'm going to be using the Weaver 5mm stitching chisel set I've had for a few years now, made hundreds of belts with it. And so let me get my groover. I had someone ask me not long ago, what distance from the edge do I groove when I'm doing this work? And I said 3/16 to 1/4. It really depends a little bit on the pattern. Like this one here, I don't want to crowd the diamonds too much, but if I get too close to the edge, then the Ron's number 3 will cut it and it wouldn't look right. Let's just to show you here. So I think about there is right. And I always start at the tip when I'm doing this. And if you've been following along for a while, you've seen me make thousands of holes. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way around the belt. And you know, just for clarity, I put the first tine in the last hole. That gets me my spacing. Tipped out a little bit at the top, not too much. And if you keep it tipped the same, then your stitch line on the back of the belt will remain constant and give you your best appearance. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way around here. And when we're ready for the next step, then I will bring you back into the loop. So here's where we're at. I finished making all of the stitching holes here, and I've started stitching this. This is black Tigeritza .08 thread with John James needles. I think it looks really nice, a very classic look here. And I pull out 3.5 times the length of the belt in thread, and that'll stitch each side. And I start at the tip and work my way down to the buckle end, so that the only place there's any type of a start-finish appearance is the finish at the buckle end there. And I'll just continue along here with my traditional saddle stitch pattern, and I'll have this belt finished before you know it. And when we're ready for the next phase, which is going to be working on the edge, then I'll come back to you. I appreciate you taking time to be with me in the shop today. I finished making all the holes. You saw me doing that. And then I did a saddle stitch with my John James needles and Tigeritza thread in black. And I have finished all of the stitching. I think right now it's looking pretty good. So now that the stitching's done, I need to use my number 3 Ron's edger and get my radius cut here on the edge. And after that, it's time for a burnish. The belt is coming out really nice. The gentleman that it's for, he's not in a big hurry, but he does have a deadline. And I think he would work with me if I couldn't get it done in that time frame. But he's going on a trip, and I think he's wanting to take this along. So obviously, if I can, we're going to meet that deadline. This leather is really nice to work with. All right, so I've got my radius cut on the belt, and now just a little bit of water, some denim, not a whole lot of pressure. Just going to create a nice burnish here on the edge. If you didn't finish the edges, after years of use, they'll get a sheen to them. But this gives a nice sheen on the edge here. If you keep the contact adhesive off of the edge of the belt, this process is you know, a lot more professional looking as well. If you get contact adhesive, you want to sand it because you can't get a good burnish over contact adhesive. And once I get the burnish on here, I'll give it a coat of Resling. After that's dry, I'll go back over it with a little bit of sandpaper, 220 or 400 grit, and just slick these edges a little bit more. One more time, burnish, less time on it than I'm spending on it this time. And the last coat of Resling, and it gives a durable, really nice looking edge on a belt. And I think that my customers like that a bunch. All right, I'll be back in a moment when we're ready to put a little bit of Resling on here. Appreciate you following along. So we've got the edges burnished, and we're ready here to get our first coat of Resling on this belt. I think it'll really set it off, make it look nice. Normally I would start on the front, but the possibility of streakiness doesn't really happen so much on the black as on the brown. So I want to make sure I get a good seal here. Get these edges. And then we'll flip it over and work our way down the front of it. And now we'll get a coat on the front here. And I try to work it into all of the stitching holes and the tooling really well. Get these edges again going the other direction. My guess is that with that beautiful buckle, this isn't going to be a work belt, so the chance of getting crazy sweaty is probably pretty slim. But I like to treat them all as if they're going to be a work belt, or maybe I should say they're going to be treated in an extreme manner. And I'll let this coat dry probably overnight. It's getting to be evening time anyway. And I've got a couple days before I need to get this in the mail. So I thought I had footage of mounting the buckle. It's really a pretty straightforward deal. This one here only required 2 Chicago screws. And I didn't put a keeper on there. I said earlier that the buckle is big enough that it centers, I think, better on jeans without it. The gentleman's not a huge guy, so if you have the loop there, it starts to crowd the buckle between the loops on the front pair of jeans. So I'm glad that the owner picked the belt that he did. I think that the diamondback pattern looks really nice with the buckle. It doesn't distract from it. And if you want to put conchos over that later, you could put conchos on top of that. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed following along today. I do appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I think that the combination turned out really well. The gentleman that I made this for, he's a regular watcher of my channel, and I know he's subscribed. If you would leave a note in there and let him know what you think of that, I think he'd appreciate that as well. He also is going to send me another buckle that I'm going to work on. And this one here, I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of a little bit of a different genre of a buckle, but you know what? I'll save that for another day. I appreciate you taking time to watch my video today. Please like, share, and subscribe, but more importantly, I hope you have a great day.